What's going on, guys? Today I sat down with a man named Fernando. Fernando was super cool. He told me a whole bunch of stories about his work life and how he used to be in the military. He was an airborne ranger. So enjoy this conversation between me and Fernando, and let me know your thoughts on what you guys want to see next. Enjoy. You mind if I sit with you, sir?
Oh, yeah.
My name's Zach. What's your name?
Fernando.
Fernando? Nice to meet you, Fernando.
Nice to meet you.
Man, that sun is crazy.
Well, you're on the wrong side of the booth.
I know. You got the good side, man. How you been?
Not too bad. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm enjoying this weather, man.
Well, it's Michigan. If you've been around as long as I have, you know all you got to do is wait about half an hour. And...
Yeah, something's going to change. Finally got to get out and play pickleball with my friends today.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh. You ever play?
No, I don't even know what it is.
Pickleball? Really?
Never heard of it.
Heard of tennis, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to tennis. I think they say it's like a mix of tennis and ping pong. So you use like these like little wiffle balls and then these rackets. And it's like a miniature version of tennis. So the courts are like real small. It's really fun.
Okay.
What do you...
I remember, well, there was ping pong back in the days.
Yeah.
And there was like was there ever a table?
Table tennis?
Yeah.
It's the same thing as ping pong.
Okay.
What do you like to do outside? Anything specific?
Well, I'm getting older now, so...
No. How old?
I'm 66.
Seriously? You don't look it, dude.
Oh, thank you. When I was younger, I was in the military.
Oh, yeah?
I was, not to brag, I was an airborne ranger in alert.
Oh, my.
So
What's that entail?
Well, six-man team behind enemy lines.
Oh.
You know, and that was during the Cold War. So, you know, a lot of stuff going on in Germany at the time, and
Yeah,
East
no.
Germany and crap. But, you know, so I jump out of planes and, you know...
Jump out of planes?
Oh, yeah. If you're airborne, you're jumping out of planes.
Oh, my.
Yeah, C-130s, C-141s, Huey helicopters, Blackhawks. I was going to say C-141s, that's a fixed-wing aircraft. So then, you know, once you jump in, then your job is just to basically snoop and poop. That was the terminology. Basically, you didn't want to get caught because it was just 6 guys.
So this is some serious stuff.
Well, in Germany, if they intercepted your radio signal, you had about 53 seconds of lifespan.
Oh my God.
Because they would triangulate where the signal was coming from and just artillery just blanket the area 1 square kilometer around that point. Yeah, oh yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, the tank units, they had a life expectancy, in Germany this is, okay?
Yeah.
They said they had a life expectancy of 7 minutes.
Wow.
Again, you know, so they act different, they do things different, so.
Wow.
Got a girl?
I do not have a girl. Nope. Had one for a little bit, but been single now for about a year, a little over a year.
Okay.
You know, I'm in school, working 2 jobs, so I don't really have time for any extra on top of that. But
Well, stay in school.
eventually.
I mean, commendable that you're working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't want to work.
Mm-hmm. What'd you do for work when you worked?
After the military, I got hired in by EDS, back when EDS...
My dad worked for ES.
Did they?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I started fiddling with computers back in the early 80s.
Yeah, wow.
Back in the days of the VIC 20 and the Commodore 64, the Atari 400, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was in the military, the little bit of time that we spent it on base, you know, that we were down in the field, I remember one year, I don't know how it happened. Somehow the IRS had given my unit 50 desktop computers.
Really?
Yeah.
For a year?
Somebody made a connection somewhere, and they had to be wipe clean basically. In fact, they were wipe clean. We had to load the operating system. I still remember 3.5 floppy disks.
Right.
And we had to first load DOS 5.0. If you know what DOS is.
Nope.
Digital operating system. That was something that some guy had put in. He developed the code, and Microsoft bought the code.
Oh.
Him, okay, for about $80,000, and that's how they built Windows eventually. Yeah. Actually, Windows 95 was what came out of a process where IBM and Microsoft were trying to develop an operating system together.
Oh.
And so they had to come up with an operating system they never had. So they bought DOS for $85,000, something like that.
Seems like they should have got more money for it.
So anyway, so they were getting ready to do that operating system, and then they split. IBM and then Microsoft said they're not going to do it. So IBM came up with something called OS2 Work, which was almost identical to Windows 95. And Windows 95 was the first thing with 32-bit operating system. But anyways, I'm fine. But, so what do I do now outside?
Well, hold on. You just told me the most interesting thing I've heard in a couple weeks. You got any crazy stories?
Well, let me put it this way. When the wall came down, or just just before the wall came down, the Soviets were not getting a lot of support.
Yeah.
And their soldiers were so hard up for vodka, and they couldn't get it, but they were drinking antifreeze.
What?
Yeah, antifreeze.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Hey, when people want to drink,
yeah, nothing's gonna stop them. Like, Jesus, that's crazy.
So, anyways, to answer your question about outside, the wife likes to go kayaking. She likes to walk.
You live near a lake, or?
Usually inland lakes. I haven't done that I can remember. I don't remember ever doing anything out. We wanted to do some kayaking in Lake Superior, but they told us that the currents were not necessarily the greatest for kayaking.
Too strong or something?
At the time, anyways.
Right.
So we didn't do it.
So you're married?
47 years.
47 years. Wow.
To the same woman, and I never even got a ring for it, man. But,
no ring?
Huh?
No ring?
I don't wear a ring only because when you jump out of aircraft, you can't have anything on your fingers.
Right.
Because if it gets caught on the door, it'll rip your hand off.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. So I'm used to not having
it on.
But, I do have a ring. It's in a box.
Right. Keeping it safe somewhere?
Yeah, it's like a fire safe,
What's the secret to 47 years?
A lot of patience. Pick your battles so you can win the war. So a lot of times you just kind of give in on this one so you can get the one you really want. So, and realize that people are going to change. When you first marry them, they're a certain way, and then as time goes on, then they change.
Yeah.
Especially women, especially
right.
they get past menopause.
Yeah.
They're a completely different person.
Yeah.
They don't have the same hormones. But so anyways, so by the time I came out of the military, I was pretty savvy with, at the time it was, I'm trying to remember, it had to be Windows. No, wait a minute, I came out in 98. 98, and I was already certified. It was late 98, and I started with EDS February of 99. Windows 2000 had just, even though it wasn't 2000 yet,
right?
But I was certified for Windows 2000.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that I was doing on my, and because I was here in this area, I started at the Phoenix Center in Pontiac.
Okay.
It used to be a GM facility, and they had another facility in Pontiac called Powertrain, which is still there, and they were switching away from. At the time, it was called Novell's NetWare, and they were going to go with Windows 95.
Oh.
It was really convoluted.
Yeah.
Because they had their own. I mean, I could tell you horror stories.
Yeah.
Microsoft did EDS and everybody else. But anyway, I started with EDS on a GM Global account. So it was a $2 billion a year contract that EDS had with GM. So in 4 months, you had to email everybody in North America's General Motor. We're talking 50,000 people.
Jesus.
Okay, an email that had to go out to say, do you need access to this application? And you had to find out what all the applications were,
Jesus.
who had access to them.
Sounds terrible.
It was terrible. Okay, because first it needed to go to their manager. And say, does your employee, do they need access to this?
Right.
Well, sometimes these people were on vacation
right.
and they weren't responding.
I mean, yeah, 50,000 people.
So I had to deal with the auditors, and I forget now the name of the companies that did all this auditing. And hey, 2 weeks is not good enough.
Right.
So we have to give these people, 2 weeks or 4 weeks for these people to come back and tell me, yeah, they need it or not. And then what we would do is, at 2 weeks, we would email the employee. You still need access to it because your boss is not responding.
Right.
Saying, oh, yeah, I still need it.
So now you have to go another step. Jeez.
And you have to know all the echelons, you know, and you had to be careful because if you got to a certain level, they didn't want to be bothering with these emails.
Right.
You had to talk to their assistants.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, General Motors was using Lotus Notes for email, and HP was using EDS, and HP was using Outlook.
Yeah.
So by the time I went to GM to take over with all these teams, like, well, you guys are using Lotus Notes, we're using Outlook. So I had to have special permission to still use Outlook.
Oh, because you didn't have to learn the new system?
Well, I knew Lotus Notes
Yeah.
going back to the EDS days because I was doing desktop support, and the GM people were using Lotus Notes.
Yeah.
Even though EDS was using Outlook, you know, so I knew both worlds. But Lotus Notes didn't have a way of taking a spreadsheet or a database and converting them into a list of emails and automatically send them out.
Right.
And the only way to do that was with a third-party tool that I paid for with my own money.
Oh my, of course.
Because they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is now we got hired in 2012, and in 2014, again, I get one of those phone calls. Hey, Fernando, what do you know about such and such?
Of course,
I've
man.
never heard of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, we got a job for you. I said, okay, what? And they said, well, this is called TMS2. It's TMS, you know, tacos and, you know, a tariff management system version 2. Into GM, I was in charge of 2 different teams. One was a server team, because I was a server qualified guy by then. And and the other team had to do with physical security, not physical security, but it wasn't SOX yet, not Sarbanes-Oxley, but it was, what it was, actually it was SOX, to a point. What it was, you had to, it was controlling the access to software and servers by different people, and make sure that not one person could control a myriad of tasks. In other words, you couldn't be an executive and be able to write a check, cash a check, deposit a check with nobody knowing.
Right.
That's where Sarbanes-Oxley came out, and it's called SOX, S-O-X. So I was the global SOX lead at the time.
Wow, global.
Well, here in North America, because there was a lady in Germany that was in charge of all the countries.
Still,
but they still said if you were more than just one country, they called you global.
Right.
So anyway, so I was doing that for a while, and in fact, the 3 people that were handling this stuff for General Motors were going to get let go. Yeah. And I was going to take it over, and they're going to give me people out of India that knew nothing about computers. You know,
cheaper.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, no.
So one particular aspect had to do with mainframe, and the lady that was doing the mainframe part, she was a contractor, former EDS, and now a GM contractor after EDS let her go. So I told my executive, and I said, look, why don't we hire her? Yeah. Because I can do all the Windows stuff, but I don't know anything about mainframe. Okay, I mean I can barely spell it. Yeah. So we can just, you know, at least I can teach the people in India what we got to do. So I had to learn from these 3 people what to do, and it entailed my part was to produce in 2012, fully knowing that we're going to get rid of all of us in 2019.
Jeez, 7 years to make 76 billion, and then just rinse the right after.
I tell you what, the guy that that wrote the code that controlled all the dealerships' computers across all of North America. The guy that put it all together. Yeah. So if a dealership went down, he was the guy to go see. He was the first guy to be let go at 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me?
Right. They don't care at all what part you played in.
We had entire server rooms with nobody manning them. Right. Because they just let them all go.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Fernando. I really appreciate your time, man. I enjoyed talking to you. Zach. It's great to meet you.
Zachariah?
It's Zachary. My mom prefers people call me that, but.
So, hey, nice meeting you. Maybe
great to meet you. Yeah, maybe, man. I enjoyed it.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too, bro.